So there was this defining period in history known as the Age of Enlightenment. The world was becoming increasingly modern with new discoveries like electricity that changed the world, and all of a sudden we had light bulbs and microwaves and sending people to space to walk on the moon. And early pioneers of that period like Einstein and Isaac Newton were God-fearing men. They saw the laws that bind the universe together, and they thought there's no way this could happen by accident, that there had to be an intelligent being behind all of this, creating it and designing it. So along that period, a few more scientists jumped on and started to carry on these thoughts and gave birth to what we now know as the scientific method. Basically, you see something, you have a theory, you test it, you observe it, you test it again, you observe it again. When you've observed it enough times, you know that it's true. And this kind of thinking was called modernism. And eventually, God got pushed to the side because we couldn't observe God, we couldn't test God. He wasn't something that you could see every day. So eventually we put man in the center. Man was the center. Anything that wasn't observable or testable by our standards just didn't exist. The only thing true was our reality. And eventually our knowledge started to grow so much, almost as big as our egos. We thought that we would discover the answers to everything, that ultimately there was truth out there and we would find it. We would break the universe wide open. And eventually, of course, nothing's perfect. We found out that the more questions we answered just led to even more questions. And the discoveries that we made and the inventions that we made to solve the problems, solved problems, but they created a lot of problems too. Just look at the invention of plastic. Without plastic, I wouldn't have my phone, my computer, I wouldn't have this camera that we're filming on right now, but also plastic is destroying the world and killing animals. Just ask the turtles. Eventually, we realized that we couldn't find all the answers. Eventually, we got past this modern way of thinking and shifted to postmodernism, which basically says that there is no truth. There is no answers. Where modernism only accepted the truth of the reality that we could observe, postmodernism accepted every truth. Where modernism said that the ultimate truth is physical human existence and intelligence, postmodernism says that the truth is whatever you make it. What's true for me can also be true for the person over there, even if their truth contradicts my truth. It sounds a bit silly. Underneath all these turbulent and ever-changing worldviews, and there are so many more, you can't go into them, is Christianity. And Christianity's message has not changed. Its message about truth has not changed in thousands of years. One thing that links all these worldviews together, and even Christianity, is the search for truth and the need for answers. It's just pure human nature. You see, even 2,000 years ago, Jesus understood this basic facet of human nature, the need for truth and answers. He said things like, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He said things like, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." It makes sense that for something to be called the truth, it has to be the same yesterday, today, and forever. It has to be the same here in Australia as it is over in the middle of the Amazon jungle. There can't be many different versions of it, and the realization of that truth should be completely and utterly all satisfying. Let's take a modernistic approach. What can we observe and what can we see in this world? The best thing in this world I can find to explain the idea of truth is justice. What's right and wrong, what's good and bad. If you've ever been moved by the plight of the disadvantaged, if you've ever looked at how many people die of starvation a day, if you've ever seen someone else get ahead of you by cheating and by being dishonest and just thought to yourself, hey, that's just not right, then you know more about justice than you think. It's true. There is right and there is wrong and there is good and there is bad. And no matter what you believe, who you are, where you grew up, what your education is, it's true. what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. It's true today, it's true tomorrow, and it's true yesterday. It's true here and it's true everywhere else. Let me give you a little example of justice. Let's say you're running late for class. Let's say you're driving down the road, you're approaching a traffic light. It's green, then it turns orange. Before you get past the line, it turns red, and you think to yourself, man, I'm running late, I just have to go. So you speed past, you run the red light, and all of a sudden you see a flash go off. Now, a month later, you get a letter in the mail with a picture of your car running that red light and a fine for money. Now, no one likes to get fined. So you say, look, I'm going to appeal that. I'm going to take him to court. I'm going to take this to the judge and say, Judge, I was really, really late for class. That's why I did that. Can you let me off? Obviously, the judge isn't going to let you off. But here's my favorite example. Before you go to court, you get someone to follow you around with a camera and take pictures of you stopping at red light, take video footage of you only going through green lights, slowing down when you approach yellow lights and stopping at the red light, and you have all this evidence of all the good things you've done. And you hand it to the judge and say, surely, Judge, surely, there is the evidence right there that I am good. I've done all these good things. Surely that wipes out that one bad thing. I really can't afford to pay this fine. Judge would say, what? What do you think? That won't work because it's not justice. See, the Christian message is about love, but it's also about justice. It's about serving a perfect God who is perfectly loving and perfectly just. So let's look at it a little deeper. We've all done wrong things, bad things. That can be called sin. See, but God is so perfect and his standards are so perfect that his word says the wages of sin is death. So the fine for the things we do bad is death. And it seems a little harsh, but it's not so harsh when you think God is perfect. And that death is eternal separation from God. You see, God needs justice to be satisfied because he is a God of perfect truth and perfect justice. That's the bad news. But you know what the good news is? He's also a God of perfect love. So in the example I gave earlier, let's just say that the judge saw all the good things that you were doing and he said, you know what, I can't let you go of this fine, but what I can do is I can give you the money. I can pay the fine for you so that you don't have to endure that punishment. And that's what God did. He sent his son to reveal the truth about himself and his love for the world, not just through the teachings and miracles, but through his action of dying on the cross, so that his perfect truth, his perfect justice, and his perfect love would be revealed. The wages of sin is death. We deserve it. Jesus paid it. Jesus died to set us free from sin so that we could have a relationship with God. When we return to the source of truth, then there's no more searching for answers or feeling like there must be more to life. There's no changing worldviews or wandering through the wilderness. That is the missing puzzle piece in your heart. That is the gap that for centuries people have tried to fill with things like addiction, money, fame, fortune, even knowledge and ego. You see, all those things will fade, but the truth in Jesus will last forever, because that's what truth is. We only receive it through Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. That's the only way. Only when he paid that price are we able to accept it and be in right relationship with God. But there is that one step. You have to accept it. It's a gift. If someone offered you a gift, it doesn't become yours until you say, yes, I'll have that. It doesn't become yours until you say, okay, I accept it. So, it's up to you. You have to accept it.